In our discussion of the pattern recognition in biofilms, we recognize that the bacteria are actually encased in this glycocalyx, which makes identification difficult. As you saw in the last presentation, sometimes you get a sense of how this glycocalyx actually covers the bacteria. And in this false colored picture of bacteria, you get a sense of what the glycocalyx actually looks like. If you remember the suture study that we did 13 years ago, you can see there's really no visible evidence of individual bacteria because they're encased in this matrix. And even in the handpiece hose study that we did, there are no identifiable individual bacteria that you can see. Everything is encased in this glycocalyx. Which makes pattern recognition difficult. Even in this case that we did with Rick and Dr. Costerton on the isthmus in a molar, you really have difficulty identifying individual bacteria. So what you really want to do is look for biofilms that are in the growth phase of dispersal, called the detachment phase, where you see some evidence of planktonic bacteria that you can identify. And the detachment phase is present in almost all biofilms, depending on the environment. So there's natural detachment and induced detachment. So either very good conditions or very bad environmental conditions make detachment take place. And in our culture experiment, you can see that there is this detachment taking place. So you have your typical biofilm that's difficult to identify, and then you have planktonic bacteria. This was very interesting in the culture experiment, where you can see the entire biofilm is almost budding these bacteria out. And here you can see where we stained a wet specimen, and you can see individual bacteria, but you can also see this greenish area that is actually the biofilm glycocalyx. And when you look at them under the SEM, you can see this detachment taking place from the body of the biofilm. And remember, these are dehydrated, so in a hydrated specimen, you can imagine how complex this architecture actually is. And here you can see a glycocalyx, but if you look carefully, you can also see there's detachment also taking place. So that's what you really want to look at when you're looking at endodontic specimens. So as an example, this is a case of Rick's. Now I hope you can kind of see what we're talking about here and maybe identify it using your pattern recognition of how this actually appears.